This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome. Good morning and welcome to another great edition of Champion News Talk Radio. We are brought to you by championnews.net, your choice for the conservative voice. This morning, our founder, Jack Roser, and myself have Christiaan Burner with us from Restore Our Principles. And welcome, Christiaan. And
thank you.
Good morning, Jack. How are you today?
Just fine, and glad to have Christiaan on our program here, fellow graduate of the University of Illinois. How could we go wrong?
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me here today.
Well, Christiaan, for our listening audience, Christiaan is 20 years old.
That's correct.
And he has an organization. It's called Restore Our Principles. And Christiaan, tell us a little bit about Restore Our Principles.
Sure. So we actually got started in August of last year, and we are a nonprofit 501c4 organization that focuses on getting high schoolers and college students involved.
What's the name of your group?
Restore Our Principles.
Restore Our Principles.
Yes.
It's kind of what Jack has been saying for a very long time.
Yeah, and it's restoreourprinciples.org is our website.
Okay.
And so our mission statement then is promoting the ideals embodied in American exceptionalism.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you.
You know, I'm big on principles too. I tell people I'm a Catholic and I'm an engineer. And if I screw up as a Catholic 10 Hail Marys later, I'm back in the club. It's okay. But engineers have North Stars too. But the penalty is swift and sure. If I violate the principles of engineering, what I've got is a lousy product. And there is no forgiveness. So I've transferred that kind of into politics and have that attitude about keep hammering away at good principles long enough, the place you get to the place you want to be.
I really think that our nation has lost some of its values, ethics, and principles. I'm old enough to be your mom, and I've seen things degenerate over the past 30 years. And we were a different nation when Ronald Reagan was our president. What got you involved at such a young age? I mean, there's parties to go to, there's girls. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You're 20 years old. Shouldn't you be out clubbing and having fun?
Right. Honestly, from a very young age, I've always wanted to build something in my life. And what I realized, though, is before I could actually build something, I had to first deal with things like the IRS to even get started. I had to deal with government first before I could really bring my idea to work.
Therefore, what did you major in college?
I'm majoring in finance. I'm actually a junior there now at the university.
Well, what does finance have to do with politics?
Right.
They completely ignore the principles there.
Right. It was my hope that I would, in academia, gain some insight into business management processes.
Yeah, find out the nature of the enemy.
Well, you know what? Politics, there's a whole element to money in politics. But when you're talking about actual government has no idea. A government should all go take good financial classes, because how can you spend more than you bring in? Oh, we have the taxpayer dollar that we can leverage and tax people more.
Absolutely. It's funny to call, some of government entities, a management, like the state of Illinois, to call them a group of managers is...
Ho, ho, ho.
Right?
It's ridiculous, because if they were actually managers and they actually had to present their budget with these incredible deficits all across the board, they'd be fired immediately.
Oh, yes. Well, nobody would buy their product. They'd be broke and irrelevant and finally out on the dole lines or shoveling coal or something.
They certainly wouldn't be top managers, that's for sure.
You know what's so funny is the Democrats, I know Jack has said this forever, the Democrats have run Springfield, and they have run it into the ground. But all of them are politicians. How many business owners are Democratic representatives? Now, wouldn't that be interesting to have business owners be representatives, because they would understand the concepts of budget?
There's a lot of trouble. Government has poisoned a lot of business, certainly in the banks and in large companies where finance has a great deal to do with the running of it. The real exigencies of the market are diverted by government policies on big moneyed things. But the practitioners of decency and efficiency and purpose and so forth are the smaller companies, because the market disciplines them. So if they don't produce a product that people are willing to pay for, they're gone. It's kind of automatic. If you're selling crappy stuff, people soon know nobody wants to buy it. But the government sells a crappy product, and all they do is get bigger.
Right. Unfortunately, there is no creative destruction per se within government. So whenever they offer a product or a service, there isn't that immediate elimination of it because it's so inferior to a private sector alternative. In order for it to be eliminated or solved, you have to go through so many loopholes and barriers and politics.
It wastes money, it wastes time. In the private sector, you get to it, you get the job done, and that's how it is. I want to hear that mission statement of yours again.
Yes, we are a student-led organization dedicated to promoting the ideals embodied in American exceptionalism.
What does American exceptionalism mean to you?
American exceptionalism to us is a very radical idea, honestly, in comparison to other countries in the history of the world. What we mean by that is the country was founded on pure individualism. Unlike many other countries, when there was, a civil war or when one power was overthrown, another type of tyranny took over almost every single time. There was some head of the state always, but truly with the founding of this country, individuals collectively led this country towards common ideals and goals, rather than towards a single godlike figure on earth.
Let me ask you, what are the restrictions on the free exercise of what you want to do? How do you limit that in the world you're talking about? I'll put a little bit more out there. Our second president said something that's very key to what America is. And what he said is, we've given you a constitution for a moral and religious people, and it's suitable for the governance of none other. Our Constitution is not a religious document. Our Constitution merely protects us from an overly active or abusive government. But it doesn't say much about how we are driven. But what our founders certainly had heavily in mind was that the individuals that make up the population that this new government was suitable for had to be religious. They had to be moral, at least.
They had to have principles.
If you can look at what happened just a few years ago up in Minnesota when this wrestler ran for governor. A lot of young people got in. They called themselves libertarians. Well, they also were saying, we don't want anybody laying their morals or what they want on us. So their language is wrong, but they weren't libertarians, they're libertines. Unrestrained liberty is not good either.
Right.
Your ball.
A society that will last is always grounded in moral principles. And I truly feel like so many of the problems that our country is facing today and why we've just been going off the cliff in almost everything is because we haven't been focusing on the principles that have made this nation in the first place exceptional. I feel like we're not grounded in these principles or ideals.
What are some of those principles, Christian?
Right. The principles all revolve around this idea of individualism. And so what we mean by that is each person has full access to life, liberty, and property. And it seems like in all three of those areas that for whatever reason, the government has intruded upon those rights.
Where is the control on the individual on their free choice to do whatever they damn please? Isn't it necessary to get this word morals in there?
Absolutely. So freedoms only go so far as what's rooted in true moral principles.
See, I think it's
You can
someone's...
swing your fist until you hit another man's nose. You don't have a regulation, hopefully from the government, on how far you can lift your fist over the ground, but you dare not damage the other person. Isn't that what religion and morality is all about?
Yes.
To give us free people doesn't mean we can run rampant, because we have a government that stops us from doing bad things.
What I love about what John Adams said is because we've been given such, as an American people, we have been given such incredible freedoms. The ability to abuse those freedoms and turn that into corruption is certainly there.
You know what? We are going to come back. We're going to hear a little bit more from Christian about restore our principles. And I think I'd like to have more of this conversation on morals and values and ethics.